on this particular topic. I'll take any questions that any of you may have on this particular subject before we move on. Sandy. Good afternoon, sir.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
The first one is that this footage that will be released is from the body-worn cameras of both officers. Is there any additional footage?
Everything is the footage coming from the business establishment. It's the footage coming from the body cam.
Any dash cam video?
No, there's no dash cam video. No.
And can you characterize when the videos begin?
Well, let me just say, why don't we wait until they're released,
Okay,
and then you can,
too much.
then you can, I'm prepared just to present it to you, and then you can see for yourselves, without me trying to editorialize or anything like that, because and what is what's the word that you're looking for? But it's caused me to reach this particular point because I think it's just important for people to have accurate information. Because we're living in a time when we need community and police and community working hand in hand. So I think if people are going to be protesting, they at least need to be protesting based on knowing what the facts actually are, and not protesting based on a false narrative. Okay.
You're not setting a precedent with this release. This is individual to this case.
This particular case, in view of what's happening across the country, in view of the number of police officers that have been injured and or killed. I want to keep police officers safe. I want the community to be safe. I want police officers to go home to their families. I want community people to be able to go home to their families. Okay, and I think it doesn't do anybody a service to be operating on false facts.
Did Mr. Braziel have illegal drugs on him, and if he did, where were they found?
I'm not going to speak to that, and of course the investigation is still ongoing. And again, we can talk about this at the time when we do have the press conference and the footage that's being released. Only to say that I think there's evidence that he was under the influence, and I'll leave it just like that.
Mayor, to
Yes.
our viewers out there, it's kind of extraordinary that you're going to release this video because so many other police shootings have happened and the public have demanded you to release the video. They're going to say you're only releasing this because it seems to exonerate the officer. To her point about this setting a precedent, what does it say about future release of videos?
Well, I think we're dealing
we're
dealing with this particular incident. Okay, when people are asking for this, let's deal with this, and let's recognize that these are exigent circumstances. So it doesn't. I mean, are you going to hit us over the head if we release something that shows that the person did in fact have a gun out there? I mean, you can't. Don't criticize us for that. Let's make sure that we have the correct narrative out there as it relates to this particular case. And that's the focus, and I think that's where the focus needs to be, okay? I can't speak to what's happening in other jurisdictions or in other venues, but I know what happened in the city of Houston.
Mayor, I think with the releasing of this video, so many people will praise the transparency, but I think people will also ask the question with, what if the video shows the officer doing something wrong? Will that video be released as quickly as you?
I'm dealing with this particular. I'm not going to deal in hypotheticals that are not before me. I'm not going to do that. I'll deal with it as it comes. What I do know is that it's important for us to know what the facts are in this particular case based on the exigent circumstances that we are dealing with in this country and in this city. And I do think I have a responsibility to do everything I can to calm the atmosphere and to create an environment in which community people can go about doing their business and police law enforcement officers can go about doing theirs as much as possible in a safe environment. That is my number one priority. And yeah, Chief.
The state law is very specific. It says that the video will not be released until the criminal and the administrative cases are adjudicated. These are exigent circumstances, and we need to get that across.
Mayor,
Yes.
the video from the gas station is really blurry. You can't really see, did he have a gun, did he not have a gun? Is the body camera footage clearer? I mean, can you clearly see that?
I'm going to let it speak for itself, but I am indicating from what I was able to see clearly that there was a gun, and there's a gun was in his hand. And not only that, there's a voice on the recordings from not police officers, but someone who lives in the community acknowledging the fact that he had a gun. Okay? That's not my voice. It's not a voice from the police officer. It's a voice from someone in the community.
Speak to the readers that we have who are concerned that at 12:38 on July 9th, a man with a gun was shot dead, but 12 hours later, a man was shooting at SWAT officers and was able to be apprehended alive without.
I can't speak to that. I think you can always kind of try to compare situations that are not comparable. So I'm not going to even try to speak to that. I'm not going to try to do that. And so I'm dealing with the facts of this particular case, and I think that's what's important here. But I'm not going to speak to some other case that's not associated with this one here.
What allows you to be able to release this video with extenuating circumstances and under the law? And is the criminal investigation complete? Is the administrative investigation complete?
It is not. These are exigent circumstances. I certainly want to let people know that we strive to be as transparent as we can, and that's what we're trying to do in this particular case, and that's what I'm trying to do in this particular case, and I made the call to do it.
Mayor Turner, as we spoke last night, sir, you told me the fact that a man is just walking down Cullen Boulevard at 12:38 at night and has a .38 in his hand is it's not the best decision. Does that still justify a man being shot 10 times?
Well, I think the video will speak for itself. But if you are walking in the middle of the street at 12:38, and if you're waving a gun and pointing a gun at police officers, then I think the outcome is not going to be a good one.
Do you believe in WWB, sir?
You're going to have to explain to me what
That's
WWB.
walking while black.
I've been walking while black for 61 years. And if the Lord allows me to live, I'm going to continue to walk while black while I live. I still live in Acres Home, the fofo. I still live in a community that's economically depressed. So I understand that. And I'm not saying that the system is perfect, but my focus is on this particular case. I'm not trying to justify any other case out there in the universe. I'm just talking about this particular case. That's the only thing that I'm saying. I'm not saying that there are not injustices out here. There are. I got that. But I'm just saying in this particular case, let's not use this case as an example to say that everything else is wrong. So I'm not trying to excuse anything else. I'm not trying to excuse what happened in the initial situation in Baton Rouge or in Minnesota or any other place. I'm not trying to do that. But I'm simply saying, as it relates to this particular unfortunate incident that took place on Cullen at 12:38, I would have rather that he didn't have a gun. If I had my brothers, I would have told them, don't be going out in the middle of Cullen at 12:38 in the morning. So I don't find there is no pleasure in me being standing up here, even talking about a shooting that I believe was justified. I don't take any pleasure in that. I wish Mr. Braziel was still alive. Quite frankly, when I called today and talked to put a call into the bishop, the family's pastor, it wasn't the pastor that answered the phone. It just happened to be my first cousin, who's a member of the same church over there. I didn't even know that. So, brother, I got that. I understand. I'm not trying to excuse other things that are happening that are wrong. I'm just saying that this not be the poster child for it. This is not the example. That's all I'm saying. And at the same time, I want to do everything I can to make sure that communities that have been overlooked for a long time, that they are not overlooked any further. And what I will say to you, I will call it as I see it, okay? And if a police officer does something wrong, I'm going to call it, okay? But if a police officer doesn't do anything wrong, I'm going to call that too. And that's a commitment that I make to you. If I see that someone does something wrong, I'm not going to defend a wrong. But if I see where someone didn't do anything wrong, I'm not going to be quiet and when I know that's not the case. That's the position that I'm taking here, and nothing else. So don't read anything else into it other than that. Okay? Okay.
Attorney, or you give us a reference to the statute that governs the release of tapes?
Yeah, we plan to do that tomorrow when we release it.
Been a moving force
Right.
in this action. Have any credible threats to your knowledge to police officers? HPD police officers been a moving force.
Well, I think any time if there are erroneous facts out there, and if people believe, for example, that this was a person who was unarmed, hands up, no weapon, just shot down by police, you're going to be incensed by that. I would be incensed by that. That would bother me, okay? And different people process that information differently. And what I'm simply indicating is that why even run the risk of getting there when we know that that the facts, those are not the facts. And so I simply want to correct the record. I want people to know those are not the facts. If you're protesting or walking around thinking that's what occurred, that is not what happened here. Those are not the facts. Now, is the incident regrettable? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I want to see any other person shot down by anyone, regardless of their ethnicity, of their socioeconomic status? Absolutely not. I don't. But I don't want people operating on erroneous facts. And that's one of the reasons, by virtue of what I've seen happen all over the country. I don't want to have to stand here and something happen to a police officer, and then all of a sudden, and then, for example, then I decide to release and say, this is what I knew. Okay, what do you say? What do you say then? That's too late. I know what the law says. I've been a lawyer for 36 years. I've been a legislator for 26. And I'm not trying to set a precedent, okay? And I've indicated that to the DA, and I've indicated that to the chief, okay? I'm not trying to set a precedent. But I am the CEO of this city. And my number one responsibility is to maintain the security of the people in this city, both citizens as well as police officers, okay? And if I know something to be untrue, okay, then I also think I have a responsibility of protecting everyone in this city so that we are not operating on erroneous information.
What about any credible threats to officers that you're aware of?
I think officers are always, they're operating with a situation that anything could potentially happen right now. But I think a part of our responsibility is to try to calm the atmosphere. And quite frankly, that is what is driving this decision. Some will agree, some may not agree with the decision. But I do think for the next situation that hopefully may not happen, I do think it's important for people to know that we're going to do everything we can to be transparent and open. And that's what we're trying to do. Okay? Yes, sir.
I know releasing the video is thought to be insensitive, but would there be a way to release a still that we could still show that maybe he did have a gun?
Well, it's my hope that once you get it, that you will be sensitive enough and not just air everything. But at the same time, if we presented you something and we blacked out something, then people may say you didn't doctored with it. Okay? So if I give it to you, my hope is that you'll be sensitive enough with it that you just won't air it in its raw nature. That's my hope. Okay? But look, you're never going to please everybody. You're never going to please everybody. But I do understand the circumstances in which we live right now. And when there are protests planned, people are protesting based on a certain narrative. Okay? And when people are protesting, the police are out there to protect their right to protest. Well, I just want to make sure that we have the right information. And my hope is that it will make a difference. But do understand, the only reason why you're not getting it right now is not because of the city, not because of HPD, it's not because of me. Primarily it's because of this lawyer who supposedly is representing this family. And because we want to make sure that we do everything we can to respect the family and to give them, and I think they are deserving of being given the opportunity to first see it before the general public if they desire to see it. And they may in the end decide they don't want to see it. I don't know, but we shall see.